Welcome back, everybody. It is the 24th of April, 1871, and we got ourselves an interesting matchup. It is the Chicago White Stockings kicking off their season. They are on the road at the 0-2 Troy Haymakers in what will be an interleague game. Chicago White Stockings from the American League, the Troy Haymakers representing the National League. We're going to go through the starting lineups now for you, and we'll start with the visiting Chicago White Stockings. Leading off for Chicago will be the left fielder George Betchel. Batting second, center fielder Bill Kelly. The third baseman Levi Mariel will be batting third. Gat Stripes, what a name! Gat Stiers will be the right fielder. He's batting fourth. Mart King will be the catcher, batting fifth. Batting sixth will be Everett Mills, the first baseman. Batting seventh, the shortstop, Charlie Hodes. Batting eighth is the second baseman, Sam Jackson. And batting ninth is the pitcher, Cherokee Fisher. For the Troy Haymakers, leading off will be the shortstop, Jimmy Hallinan. Batting second is the right fielder, Clipper Flynn. Batting third baseman, Ezra Sutter. Batting fourth, the left fielder, Fred Tracy. I'm sorry, that's Sutton, not Sutter. Sutton is the third baseman. Fred Tracy's the left fielder, batting fourth. Batting fifth, the first baseman, Jim Foran. Batting sixth, the second baseman, Bill Craver. Batting seventh will be left fielder, Patty Quinn. Batting eighth is the catcher, Bill Lennon. And batting ninth will be the pitcher, Henry Wright. Wright 0 for 1 so far. I forgot to do the win-loss back there, but it's going to be... the loss was for Al Spalding. The win was for George Zetlin. Right. That was a previous game. So, we're going to get into it. And we are ready to get underway. The Troy Haymakers, their first home game of the season. I just said that as if it was true, and I did commentate them. So I think they were away that game. They were. So the first home game of the season for Troy. Trying to get back into at least to 500 or work their way to 500. Let's begin. Opening day at the Haymakers ground. And the first pitch to George Betchel is a ball. The big problem that Troy have, and I'm going to point it out to you guys now because it's probably going to go that way. They don't actually have a pitcher. So if you look, Harry Wright, who's a closer, is the only pitcher on their roster. There's not a lot of pitchers to draft in the draft when you do the amateur draft at the beginning of the game. So they have a closer who has a rating of 1 stamina who is pitching for them. So his tiredness increases extremely quickly. So I think that's going to come into play. Here's the 1-0. That's outside for a ball. And it is 2-0. That's especially if he's throwing balls. Here's the 2-0. That's grounded foul. The 2-1 pitch. In there for a called strike. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded over to second base. And that is going to be an error on the second baseman. A leadoff error. Not the way Troy would have wanted to start. The second baseman, that is Bill Craver, picks up the error. And George Betchel is aboard to start the game. That'll bring up Bill Kelly, the center fielder. Here's the first pitch. That's lined into left field, but going foul. Here's the 0-1. Grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first, and he gets the out. George Betchel goes to second base, but there's one down now here in the top of the first. Here's the first pitch. That's outside for a ball, 1-0. Levy Mariel is at the plate. That one is outside, ball 2. Here's a 2-0. That's inside, ball 3. Here's a 3-0 pitch down the center of the plate, first strike, 3-1. The 3-1 pitch, that's taken at the knees for a called strike, 3-2. Full count here. And that is inside, ball 4. And Levy Mariel is aboard with a walk. That'll bring up right fielder Gat Stiers. Here's the first pitch. That's fouled away. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed. 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That's taken inside for a ball. 1-2. The 1-2, and he's hit the batter. He has been hit by the pitch. He will go to first. Levy Mariel will make his way to second. George Betchel's going to third, and it is bases loaded for Chicago here in the top of the first. There is only one out. That brings up Mart King, the catcher, with the bases loaded. Here's the first pitch. That's inside, ball 1. Here's the 1-0. Swung on and missed. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. On the inside corner for a called strike. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's grounded foul. Here's the 1-2. That's taken at or below the knees for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's also low. 3-2. Full count. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on, popped up into left field. Coming in as the left fielder, he will grab it. And it is not deep enough for the runner to tag. So everyone stays where they're at. It doesn't help by pointing out his stamina, and he's already 24 pitches in. That is not a help whatsoever. That will bring up first baseman Everett Mills. Here's the first pitch. Swung on, grounded over to first base, and that will retire the side. So, no runs on one hit, and they leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the first with no score. Jimmy Hadlin will be the first batter up for the Troy Haymakers. Here's the first pitch. And that is outside for a ball, 1-0. 1-0 pitch on the outside corner for a strike, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, and that's fouled over towards the third base side. The 1-2 pitch, taken outside for a ball, 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded over to first base. And he will take it himself. Mills will, and that'll retire Hallinan. That'll bring up the right fielder, Clipper Flynn. He is 1 for 8 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That's fouled off. Here's the 0-1. That's grounded back up to shortstop. Over to first, in time for the out. Ezra Sutton will be next, the third baseman. Nobody on, 2 out. Here's the first pitch. Taken high and in for a ball, 1-0. And 1-0 pitch grounded over towards the shortstop, on to first, and that is the put out. 6-3. 3 up, 3 down. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We go to the top of the second. We are scoreless. Just finished watching my first full round of golf. Are you proud of me now? Yes, I am, David. I remember watching the rounds of the golf at the Olympics, and they were insane rounds. Y'all give David a follow. Great Football Manager streamer. Also streams some. Sorry, this way. Also streams some FM.
I had a lovely day at work today so far. Except for the fact that it was very, very cold.
Yeah, definitely give David a follow.
And I work in the outdoors.
Welcome in, brother. I hope you're well. Hold on. I took my multi-streaming docket off. I can imagine. It's freaking 1 a.m. 1 a.m. over there. So, all right. Due up first in the second inning for Chicago will be the shortstop, Charlie Hodes. Yeah, here's the first pitch. That's grounded back to the mound. Over to first, in time for the first out. Well, David, you picked the perfect stream to come into if you're tired. I'm sorry, that retires the sign? The fuck? Oh, did he? Hold on. Tracy at bat. Did I think Urza Sutton reached via an error? Let me go to the game log. Probably shouldn't have watched the golf after all. Well, you picked the perfect stream to come into. Oh, yeah. Urza Sutton reached on an error. Error on who? E6. That is a shortstop, which was Charlie Hodes. So he's got the error. But needed distraction from bad Indy quality. I heard it wasn't very good. So that was Tracy down. No runs. They leave 1. They left 1. I got to change the LOB to 1. It is still going to be Charlie Hodes. Well, you come to the right stream, David, because we're commentating baseball, which I know is apparently to Europeans such a thrilling statement to make. So if you're struggling to fall asleep, this might do the trick for you. Here's the first pitch to Charlie Hodes. He popped it up just outside the infield. Second baseman's over there. That is Bill Craver, and he will make the play. 1 away. Here's Sam Jackson now. First pitch in there, called strike. 0-1. The 0-1 to Sam Jackson is taken high for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's popped up into right field, flying out the right field, and that will be taken without any issue. Clipper Flynn gets the put out. It may be the only sport better suited for background noise than golf. Yeah. That and cricket. Cricket's pretty good for that, too. That'll bring up the pitcher, Cherokee Fisher. Here's the first pitch, and that's taken for a strike. Oh, my. This includes chess, by the way. Nice. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Up high for a ball. 1-1. The 1-1 pitch swung on and missed 1-2. I can't watch chess. Here's 1-2 pitch. That's lined into the gap in left center. That's going to drop for a base hit. Good cutoff from the center fielder. Can they get there in time? No. It's a double for Cherokee Fisher. The pitcher giving himself a little bit of help. And he gets a double. And that'll bring up George Betchel, who reached via an error his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over to the first baseman. He will take it himself, and that will retire the side. No runs on one hit. They leave one. It's the bottom of the second, and we have no score. Jim Foran will be the first up, the first baseman. Here's the first pitch to Jim. That is rocketed into the gap in right center. That's going to get down. It hops into the wall from the warning track, and Jim Foran is going to go with a lead-off triple for Troy. That's a massive hit to start the inning. And Jim Foran is now 90 feet away with nobody out. Man, he hit that first pitch, and he almost cleared the yard with it. Well, David, the other thing, too, you could do if you're struggling to sleep, Miami and Orlando is coming on. I'm about to pop that on right now real quick. I don't know why I do this to myself. I fucking hate both those clubs. So here's the question. Have you heard of Prince? Prince Fielder? Prince the artist? Which Prince? Prince Albert? Right, here's Bill Cravers, second baseman. Blueprints even. I don't know about blueprints. I've heard of Prince Al. Oh, God, okay, good God, okay. That one's going to be that. I don't know what happened there. The wind absolutely whipped that foul. I don't know what to say to that, David. I really don't. I might be lost here. I might not know context. I'm kind of... I don't know where you're going with this. That's my point. It's a game. Oh, no, I haven't. No. Here's the 0-1. Swung on, lined right at the shortstop. And that's the out over to second. And it's out. He's not back in time. Blueprints is again. Oh, yeah, he's not back in time. And it is a 6-5. A double play. Oh, hold on. I've just written that in the wrong box. I wrote that on the Chicago side. That needs to go into the so it's an L63 DP is how it's scored, and that's 2 outs. That'll bring up Patty Quinn, the center fielder. Here's the first pitch. Taken right down the chute for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's popped up into left field. Is it going to stay fair? It looks like it's hooking foul, and it does. I saw Cy Maggio playing like a cribbage game yesterday, a cribbage type game. And I yesterday, and I love cribbage. There's a ground ball right to the first baseman. He will take it to the bag himself, and that will retire the side. No runs on one hit, nobody left. We go to the top of the third, and we are still scoreless. Bill Kelly will be due up first for the Chicago White Stockings. He grounded out his first at bat. Yeah, cribbage is fun. Cribbage is a fun card game. I used to play it a lot. I don't know. I might still exist, but if you guys remember an older website, much older website, called Pogo.com. And it was a game you would go on. And Pogo originally started as a place you could sign up for, and you could play all your favorite board and card games for free. Backgammon, checkers, chess, cribbage, bridge, hearts, solitaire, right? And then it got really popular, and they started adding in like casino games, Keno, bingo, things like that, right? Baccarat, and it was just a fun website. And I used to play cribbage on there all the time. I taught myself cribbage through that website, so I used to play cribbage a lot on that website. And you had, like, if you played chess on that website, you had your ELO was ranked based on the other players, so you gained and lost ELO. So it was an interesting website back in the day. Here's the 0-1. Called strike, 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Bill Kelly. Taken outside for a ball, 1-2. People used to go on there, too, because you would, how would I say this? The games on there, like Keno, whoever won the game, at the end of the game, there was like a big wheel that came up, and you would spin it, and it was like a 0.1% chance or whatever that you would land on the jackpot, and every time you landed, I mean, you could win like a lot of money, a lot of real life money, not fake money. So, because they used advertisers and everything, obviously. So, here's the 1-2. That's in the dirt for a ball, 2-2. But yeah, the jackpot would increase every game when players would finish their games and they didn't win, or they didn't hit the jackpot. It would roll over. Here's the 2-2. That's grounded over to the first baseman. He'll take it himself, and that'll be the first out of the inning. So it was an interesting website. It might still be around. I'm talking about it in the past tense as if it's not still around. It might still be. But, I mean, Pogo's heyday was like the mid-2000s, I want to say. It's nowhere near the site it used to be. I'm just going to have a look real quick. Yeah, Pogo's still around. Nowhere near the kind of thing that it used to be. They have Mahjong. They have browse all card games. No, get it. EA bought it out years ago, and now it's shit. To the surprise of absolutely nobody. EA bought something and it went to crap. I just want to see if they still have cribbage. Browse all card games. No, these are like all solitaire games now. Boo! Used to play against other real life players. I remember used to make lobbies back in the day. I mean, it looked like all HTML based shit. You know what I mean? But you used to make lobbies back in the day, and it would be like you could play short cribbage, which was I think was the 91, or you could play to 121, and you could do best of series, and you could do best of all the way up to like I think it was like first to 50. So you get some of these lobbies where they would just play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But right, this is Levy Mariel He walked his first at bat. So he's 0-0. And that is in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Taken for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That is lined into left field. And can't make the play as the left fielder. It'll be a double for Levy Mariel, who gets into second base with one out here. That'll bring up Gat Stiers. He was hit by the pitch his last at bat. First pitch taken for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's hit deep into left center field, or right center field. Going back on it as it's gone. Gat Stiers. He's got it with a 2-run RBI home run. Two-run shot. And that's put Chicago into the lead here. That brings up Mart King. He flat out left field his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That is in there for a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That is up and in for a ball. 1-1. 1-1 pitch. Did he go? They're asking the third base umpire, and he went, says the third base umpire. So the count will move to 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's lined into right field. That's going foul. One-two pitch. Down and in the dirt for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. Popped up right at the shortstop. And he will glove it for the second out of the inning. That will bring up Everett Mills. He grounded out unassisted to the first baseman. It's his first time up. This one's hit right at the third baseman. He'll line out to him, and that'll retire the side. 2 runs on the home run, and they leave nobody left on base. We go to the bottom of the third. Chicago now leading it by a score of 2-0. Due up first for the Troy Haymakers will be catcher Bill Lennon. He has yet to record a hit in 7 plate appearances so far this season. Here's the first pitch. That's chopped foul. Oh, Luis Suarez is starting. He was out injured, but he's back. Here's the 0-1. That's taken down low for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1. Inside, ball 2. The 2-1 pitch. Taken down low for a ball. 3-1. Hitters count now. Here's the pitch. Called strike 2. Full count here. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on, grounded over to second base. On to first in time for the first out of the inning. Henry Wright will be the next batter, the pitcher. He is 0 for 2 so far this season. Here's the first pitch. Oh, that's lined into center field, and that drops for a base hit. And Henry Wright is aboard. That brings up Jimmy Hallinan. Hallinan had grounded out unassisted to the first baseman. His first at bat. Here's the pitch. That's taken below the knees for a ball. Here's the 1-0, taken also at the knees for ball 2. Or below the knees, I should say. Throw over the first. Runner is back in time. Here's the 2-0. Swung on, that's into left field and hooking foul. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on, base hit into right field. Over to second goes Henry Wright. And Jimmy Hallinan is aboard with a single. 2 on here with 1 out. Bottom of the third. Clipper Frinnan, the right fielder, is coming up. He is grounded out his first at bat. Here's the 0-1. Taken high and inside for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch, taken high and inside for ball 2. The throw over to third, not in time. And Henry Wright has stolen third base. Here's the 2-0. That's lined right at the second baseman. And that'll be the second out of the inning. Runners on the corners with 2 outs. Brings up Ezra Sutton, who reached via an error in his last at-bat. That one's grounded over towards the right, the third baseman. Oh, and it's a wild throw. And reaching again via an error will be Ezra Sutton. This time on Levy Mariel, or Mariel. Or I'm sorry, Levy Mayerly. Means over the second goes Jimmy Hanlon, and Henry Wright has scored to make it 2-1. Fred Tracy will be the next batter. He grounded out on his first time. Oh, it's a pass ball. It gets by the catcher. Catcher couldn't put a glove on it. But that means it goes all the way to the backstop. Holland has gone to third. Sutton has ended up at second base. Right. 1-0 to Fred Tracy. That's lined into right center field. That's a base hit. And Tracy has delivered. That is an RBI single. Sutton ends up at third base. Holland has come home to score. And Troy have found a way to get back in and level the game. Runners on the corners, 2 outs. Jim Foran is the next batter up. He had a triple in his last at-bat. And he takes a pitch for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Oh, throw over to first. And runners back in time. And for 0-1 pitch is taken for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 taken inside. Ball 2. Here's the 2-1. Swung on. That's chopped foul down the first base side. Here's a 2-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over to second base. On to first, in time, and that will retire the side. 2 runs on 3 hits. They leave 2 aboard. We go to the top of the 4th. And this game is tied at 2. Charlie Hodes will be the first batter up for Chicago. He popped up to the second baseman his first at bat. Hey, Angels beat the Dodgers. Let's go. Here's the first pitch to Hodes. Swung on right down the first base side, but it's foul. Here's the 0-1. Taken down and in for a ball. 1-1. Here's the pitch that's swung on, grounded, or fouled. Here's the 1-2. Oh, sorry, that was a ball. I went a little too quick on that one, yes. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Just off the outside corner for a ball. 3-2. Counts run full. Here's the 3-2. That's popped up in foul territory. And that is Lennon who will glove it. One away here in the 4th. Here's the first pitch to Jackson, and that is a ball on the inside, 1-0. Jackson, Sam Jackson, flied out to right field his last at bat. Here's the 1-0. That's lined out towards right field, going back, and that is just hooked foul. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball to the second baseman. Over to first in time for out number 2. That'll bring up Cherokee Fisher. He had a double his last at bat. Here's first pitch. That's into left field. A base hit. And Fisher, the pitcher, is 2 for 2 so far today. Due up now will be George Betchel. He is 0 for 2. Reached on an error and also grounded out. First pitch is a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Swung on and missed. 1-1. Here's the pitch. That's grounded over to the third baseman. On to first in time, and that will retire the side. No runs on one hit, and they leave one aboard. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It is a 2-2 ball game. Due up first for Troy will be second baseman Bill Craver, who lined into a double play his last at bat. Here's the first pitch to Bill Craver. That is taken for a strike, 0-1. Yeah, that should help. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swung on, grounded over towards the left-hand side. And a wild throw from the shortstop is going to get Bill Craver aboard. It's the second error by Charlie Hodes this game. He had one in the first. They didn't capitalize on it, but it's a leadoff error. And they might this inning. It'll bring up Pratty Quinn. He grounded out to the first baseman his first at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's bunted. Back to the mound. Over to first. In time for the out. Going to second is Bill Craver. But Patty Quinn does his job. He gets the runner in scoring position. And there was only one out. That'll bring up Bill Lennon, the catcher. He grounded out his last at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's taken inside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Popped up. Right at the third base. And that'll be gloved for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Harry Wright, the pitcher. Why do I have Henry Wright on here? It's Harry Wright. Harry had a single and a stolen base his last at bat. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a strike, and it is 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That is high and away for a ball. 1-1. Here's the pitch. Swung on. That's hit deep into right field. Is it going to stay fair? It does. It's a fair ball. It's in the corner. And that's coming all the way around. It's going to be a triple in there at third base. And Harry Wright has got himself a triple here in the inning. It's an RBI triple because it scores Bill Craver. I remind you, reached on an error. And Harry Wright's now 90 feet away. Two outs here in the bottom of the fourth. Jimmy Hollanen is up next. He had a single his last at bat. He's going to take first strike. Here's the 0-2. Or here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed. 0-2. Here's the 0-2. That's high and in for a ball. 1-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded up towards the second base. Over to first in time, and that will retire the side. And they get one run on one hit, and they leave one aboard. We go to the top of the fifth, and the Troy Haymakers have taken the lead now, 3-2. Due up for Chicago will be Bill Kelly. He's 0 for 2 thus far with 2 ground outs. Here's the first pitch to Bill Kelly. Swung on, that's into left, but foul. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's taken outside for a ball, 1-1. A 1-1 pitch. Swung on, popped out, up into center field. That'll be a base hit. Bill Kelly's aboard with a leadoff single. Chicago looking to bounce back, have a decent inning here. And they've got Bill Kelly aboard to start. Oh, that would have been a phenomenal goal had Orlando scored that. Here's the first pitch. That's taken high for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's on the inside corner for a strike. 1-1. The 1-1 pitch taken for strike 2 on the opposite corner. Here's the 1-2. Popped up right in front of home plate. And that'll be easy for Lennon to take care of. Gat Stiers will be up next. He's 1 for 1 with a home run. Takes first pitch for a ball. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Taken at the knees for a strike. 1-1. Why'd he cut that back? Just cross it. You'd already beaten your man. Here's the 1-1. That's called strike 2. 1-2 now. Here's the 1-2. That is lined into left field, but it hooks foul. Here's the 1-2. That is down low for a ball. 2-2. 2-2 pitch. Inside. Ball 3. And here we go. 3-2 pitch. That is grounded over towards the... Oh, it squirted through the first baseman. The scorer is going to give that a single. It was hit pretty well. And I tend to agree with that scoring decision. Gat Stiers gets his second hit of the afternoon. And it is first and second with only one out. That'll bring up Mark King. He is 0 for 2. With a fly out and a pop-up. Here's the first pitch. It is outside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. It'll be 1-1. The 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's hit right back over the pitcher's head in center field. Getting there to make the play will be Quinn. And that'll be 2 down here in the top of the 5th. That'll bring up Everett Mills, the first baseman. He is 0 for 2 so far. With a ground out and a line out. First pitch inside for a ball. 1-0. Here's the pitch. That's chopped and right at the second baseman. And that will be the side retired. So, no runs on 2 hits, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom half of the 5th. It is still 3-2 Troy. 2 up first for the Haymakers. The right fielder, Clipper Flynn, who's 0 for 2 thus far today. Here's Flynn. Here's the first pitch. Swung on and missed 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Lined right back at the mound. Through the gap at second base for a base hit. Oh, it's a fielding error as well. E8 gets the error for Chicago. That's the center fielder, Bill Kelly. He'll get 1 error. But Clipper Flynn has got himself a. I'm sorry, not Clipper. Yeah, Clipper Flynn has got himself a single and into second base on the error. So, runner in scoring position to start the inning for Troy. That'll bring up Urza Sutton, who's reached twice on an error. Here's the first pitch to Sutton. That's in the dirt for a ball. Going over to third and stealing the base. And then it's a wild throw from the catcher. And Clipper Flynn comes home to score off the throw. It's an error for Matt King. He will get credit for an error. And Troy have taken a 4-2 lead. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. On to first, and it's a throwing error by the shortstop. And Ezra Sutton has reached base 3 times, all 3 of which have been via errors. 0 for 3. Everett, the shortstop, it's Charlie Hodes. He's up to 3 errors in this game. Chicago have got 6. And Troy have another base runner, still nobody out. Fred Tracy, the next batter. Here's the first pitch. That is a ball, 1-0. Oh, hold on. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That is down low for a ball, 2-1. 2-0. So it's 2-0 pitch. It's bunted over to the first base side. In there. And so the put out will be 3-4. But they do get Ezra Sutton to second base on it. Here is Fred Tracy. No, I'm sorry, that was Fred Tracy. Here is Jim Foran, who is 1 for 2 so far today. He has a triple and a ground out. Runner on second with just 1 out. Here's the first pitch. That's on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's grounded over to the third baseman. Over to first in time, and that is the second out of the inning. Does not move the runner either. Now it'll bring up Bill Craver, the second baseman. He reached on an error and is lined into a double play. 0 for 2 so far. Here's the first pitch. That's high and away for a ball. 1-0. Throw over to second. And the runner is back in time. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed, and it's 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's grounded foul. The 1-2 pitch. Taken inside for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's high and away for a ball. 3-2. Full count. Here's the payoff pitch. That's grounded over to third base. On to first in time, and that will retire the side. No, 1 run on 1 hit, and 1 run on 2 hits. No, it's 1 hit because that's an error. I don't know why I circled 1B on the error. That's an error. 1 run on 1 hit, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom or the top of the 6th, and the Haymakers lead it 4-2. Due up is the shortstop, Charlie Hodes. He's 0 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That is in there for strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on right into center field. Base hit for Hodes. And he's aboard with a single to lead off this 6th inning for Chicago. Next up, second baseman Sam Jackson. He's flied out, lined out in his 2 plate appearances so far today. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. On to second for 1, and they can't get the other. So, Jackson is aboard on a fielder's choice. That'll bring up Cherokee Fisher. He has a single and a double so far. He's 2 for 2. Here's the first pitch. That is lined into center field. That's a base hit. Cherokee Fisher's aboard. Base hit. Oh, and Sam Jackson tries to go to third base, and he's called out at third. He tried to stretch it, and he was caught trying to extend that trip to second base into third base, and that's the leadoff runner. That means it leaves just Cherokee Fisher on first. George Betchel will be the next opponent. First pitch to Betchel is high for a ball, 1-0. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's up and in for a ball, 2-0. Throw over to first. Runner's back in time. Here's the 2-1. That's on the outside corner, strike 1. Here's the throw back over to first. Runner's back in time. Here's the 2-1. That is lined into left field, right at the left fielder, and that will be the end of the inning. No runs on 2 hits, and they leave 1 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It is 4-2 Troy. Due up for the Haymakers is center fielder Patty Quinn, who is 0 for 2 so far today. Here's the first pitch. That's swung on, chop foul. Here's the 0-1. That's taken high for a ball. 1-1. Pitch is swung on and it's fouled off. The 1-2 pitch. Swung on, back over towards the gap. That's through, in for a base hit. Patty Quinn's aboard with a single. That'll bring up Bill Lennon. He is 0 for 2 so far this game. Throw over to first. Runner is back safely. Here's the first pitch. Swung on and missed, 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's inside for a ball. 1-1. Throw over to first. Runner's back in time. Here's the 1-1. That's in the dirt for a ball. 2-1. Here's the throw over to first. Again, the runner's back in time. Here's the pitch. That is lined. Is it going to stay fair? No, that's going foul. The 2-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, and he struck him out. 1 away. And here's Henry Wright, the pitcher. He's up next. He is 2 for 2 so far with a triple, a single, and an RBI. First pitch, that's a bunt. Safe at second, safe at first. And does that count as a hit? Or does that count as a fielder's choice? I think that will count as a hit. That was, who was that? Harry Wright? Yeah, that technically counts as a hit. Oh, no. I'm sorry, that's not, that's... Go back. Hit to... Well, who's on first? Yeah, Harry Wright. That doesn't count as anything? I don't know. I'll check you afterwards. Here's Hanlon. He's fouled that off. Hanlon is 1 for 3 so far. Here's the 0-1. That's a bunt. He's laying it down. Over to first in time. And that'll, that's the first out of the second out of the inning. Over to third goes Quinn. Harry Wright goes to second. That'll bring up Chipper Flynn. He is 1 for 3 so far today. Here's the pitch that's grounded over towards first baseman. He takes him himself, and that will retire the side. No runs on 1 hit. And they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the, we go to the top of the 7th. It is still 4-2 Troy. I think that doesn't count as a hit because the argument is that they could have just thrown him out at first, but they chose to go for the lead runner. Just because they didn't get him, it doesn't mean it's a hit. But I would have thought technically that would have been I thought that would have been a fielder's choice. But I guess they don't punish the batter. Right, due up first in the top of the 7th is Bill Kelly. He is 1 for 3 so far. He had a single his last at bat. Here is the first pitch. That is going to be a called strike 1. Here is the 0-1 pitch. Right. 0-2 pitch. That's grounded foul. Here's the 0-2. Down and in for ball 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's also in the dirt. 2-2. Here is the 2-2 pitch. Grounded foul. And 2-2 is in the dirt for a ball 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, grounded over towards the second baseman. On to first in time, and that'll retire Bill Kelly. That'll bring up Levy Mayerly. He is 1 for 2 so far today with a double. Here's first pitch. That's popped up. And it's all, wind's going to take this all the way foul. Here's the 0-1. Swung on, grounded back to the mound. Over to first, in time for out number 2. That'll bring up Gap Stiers. He is 2 for 2 so far today, with a home run, 2-run home run, and a single. This one is fouled. Here's the pitch. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. On to first in time, and then over to the side. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the 7th. It's 7th inning stretch time here at the Haymakers grounds, with the Haymakers leading by a score of 4-2. As always, as is customary, it's time for a rendition of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Here we go. Right, there you have it. And we are ready to get back into it. And I'm like tucked in and the scorebook is down here. Right, bottom of the 7th, due up Ezra Sutton. Ezra is 0 for 3, having reached base 3 times on an error. Here's first pitch. That's grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first in time. And first pitch swinging is the first out of the inning. Troy is trying to hold on to a 4-2 lead here. Bottom of 7th. Fred Tracy up next. He is 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over towards first baseman, and that is out number 2, just like that. 2 pitches, 2 outs in this inning. Here is Jim Foran. He is 1 for 3 with a triple. Here's the first pitch. That is down low for a ball. 1-0. 1-0 pitch is inside, ball 2. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swung on, and that's fouled. The 2-1 pitch. That's grounded over towards the second baseman. Oh, he's flubbed it. The second baseman has flubbed it. And aboard is Jim Foran. That's Sam Jackson on the error. It's Troy's 7th. And Chicago gets a base runner here in the 7th. That'll bring up Bill Craver. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Troy who's got the base runner. It's Chicago's 7th error. It brings up Bill Craver. He is 0 for 3 so far today. Here's the first throw over to first, and the runner's back in time. Here's the pitch. That's a called strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's chop foul. No, that's popped up. Sorry. That is popped up, and the first baseman comes over and will glove it for the out. No runs, no hits. 1 left on base. We go to the top of the 8th, and the Haymakers still lead it by a score of 4-2. Mart King is due up for the Chicago White Stockings. Here's the first pitch. In there for a called strike, 0-1. Oh, boy. Here's the 0-1. That's in the dirt for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's down low, 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. That's grounded foul. Here's the 2-2. Swung on, flying out towards right field. That is just gone foul. Here's the pitch. Inside, 3-2. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Swung on, and that's grounded foul. The full count now. That's grounded over to the shortstop. Over to first. That's rifled way too hard from the shortstop. And aboard is Mart King. It's an error on Jim Hallinan. It's only the second error for Troy in this game. But that'll bring up Everett Mills. He is 0 for 3. That one's hit into left field, and that's hooking foul. So leadoff runners on second base. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's over to first. Oh, he's flubbed it again. He's flubbed it again. And it's back-to-back errors on the shortstop, Jim Hallinan. And Troy should be an out away from getting out of the setting. Instead, there's runners on the corners with nobody out. Here's Hodes now. He swung on and missed at the first pitch. It's 0-1. Hodes is 1 for 3. Here's the pitch. That's lined deep into center field. And that should get a run in. Yes. King tags up. He will score. And that'll give Chicago a run back. They're only a run away now from tying it. I'll bring up Sam Jackson. He's 0 for 3. Sorry, that's not going to bring up Sam Jackson, as that first pitch is fouled off. This is going to bring up Fred Waterman. Here's the 0-1. That's inside for a ball. 1-1. Throw over to first, and the runner's back in time. Here's the 1-1. That is fouled. It'll be 1-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's down low for a ball. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's shot back over towards the mound. On to, there's no play. It took a Baltimore hop, that one. And Waterman is aboard. Mills has gone to second. So first and second now with just one out. Here's Cherokee Fisher. He takes ball 1. Here's the 1-0 pitch. That's popped up deep into center field. That will be the second out of the inning. Runners don't advance. That'll bring up George Betchel. He is 0 for 4 so far today. Here's Betchel. He's grounded that over the third base. On to first in time, and that will retire the side. So 1 run on 1 hit, and they leave 2 aboard. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Troy leading it 4-3. Patty Quinn will be the first player up for Troy. Here's the first pitch. Inside for a ball, 1-0. Quinn is That says 1 for 2. I have him 1 for 3 because you tried the sacrifice bunt, right? So I'm going to count it. Right. He's 1 for 3 today. Here's the first pitch. Or here's the pitch. Home plate umpire says he went, and that is going to be strike 1. Here's the 1-1. That's high and in for a ball. 2-1. 2-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. 2-2. Here's the 2-2. That's grounded over to the second baseman. Over to first in time for the out. Right, that brings up Bill Lennon. He is 0 for 3 today with a strikeout. Here's the first pitch. That's it deep into left field. Right at the... that's it right at Betchel, and that'll be out number 2. Next up will be Harry Wright. He is 2 for 3 so far today. Or 2 for 2 so far today, sorry. You know what? I'm going to count that as a hit. He's 3 for 3 today. And with 2 singles and a triple. Here's the pitch. Did the Union win this? Yes, they did, Cully. Yes, they did. That's a ball. 1-0. Sorry, I just realized you said that. Yes, they did. You said there was only 9 teams in the game right now. How many MLB? 30. 30. And the crazy thing is, franchises come and go like mad in the opening. So, like, historically, the Troy Haymakers that we're playing at home right now, they were formed in 1870. They were formed in 1870. They played their first season in 1871. That was the first season of professional baseball, right? And then halfway through 1872, they went bankrupt. And that's the story all over the place. Like, you know, Christ, I'm trying to think of names. Like, Brooklyn has the Experts, I think, and they hang around for like 6 years, and then they go bankrupt. And it's a lot of shifting hands. In fact, if you look at the 9 teams that start the game, only 3 of them still exist today, and that's the White Stockings, which become the White Sox, the Red Stockings, which become the Red Sox, and the Athletics, which were in Philadelphia, moved to Kansas City, moved to Oakland, moved to Sacramento, and then we'll be moving to Las Vegas. But a lot of these teams, I'm Rockford, the Rockford Forest Cities, they're defunct. Some of them become minor league teams. But yeah. Orlando's leading Miami 1-0 at halftime, by the way. I love the fact that Miami can't seem to get it together. Right. Who's due up? Is it Harry Wright? I'm surprised Harry Wright's due up because he's gotten basically no stamina left. And what do you call it? Who's the best team in MLS? Do you know who's top of the table, Cully? Who's top of the league? Hold on. That is 100% correct. We are top of the league. Vancouver drew last night. and we beat Atlanta in Atlanta, which means we are top of the league. Right. Let me mute Firefox audio again. I turn it off and on. So, okay. Right. I don't know if we're going to finish as top of the league, but, it's nice to be top. Vancouver looks really good. Seattle's still in MLS, yeah. They're not doing like they're okay this season. They're not like world beaters, but they're not bad. They're in 6th place right now in the West. So Seattle has played 14, won 5, drawn 5, lost 4. So that's bang on average. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they are this year. So, but you know who looks really good? Austin looks interesting, but you know who looks really good? Like really good? Minnesota. Minnesota actually looks really good. I'm surprised. I was like, whoa. So, it's the tale of it's like Columbus. Yeah, they're actually like 3rd right now, so they're pretty good too. But it's like if you take the 3 hosts of the Something About Soccer podcast, right, and you include myself, 2 of us are having a wonderful time, 2 of us are having a miserable time. Dill's Galaxy are the worst team in MLS. Pix's Red Bulls are in 10th out of 15 in the East. And we're top of the league, the Union, and Minnesota is 2nd place in the West behind only Vancouver. CONCACAF Champions League finalist Vancouver as well, mind you. So, yeah, it's like a complete opposite ends for some of us. Right. I'm looking at it now. Hold on. Let me respond to this message real quick. LA Galaxy did fall off. Yeah, they used to be. Yeah, they are. They won. They literally won the title last season, and then haven't won in 13 opening games this season. And people are like, "Oh, you need pro rel in the MLS and all this stuff." I'm like, you would not ever get that. You know what I mean? If you had pro rel in MLS, you wouldn't get the Union going from 12th to 1st, and you wouldn't get LA going from 1st to worst. Like, that's kind of the interesting thing about it. Right. Here's the 1-0 pitch to Harry Wright. Arch grounded over the first baseman, and he'll take it himself, not overtire himself. Promotion relegation. No runs, no hits, nobody left. We go to the top of the 9th. It is 4-3 Troy. Bill Kelly due up for Chicago. He is 1 for 4. Harvey Wright's still the pitcher. Wow, he's thrown 124 pitches. Here's the pitch that Bill Kelly swung on and missed 0-1. Here's the 0-1. That's chop foul behind home plate. It'll be 0-2. Here is the 0-2 pitch. That's popped up into left field. Coming in is the left fielder, and he will make the play. That's Fred Tracy getting credit for the putout. 1 away here in the top of the 9th. That will bring up Levy Marilel. Do players, they can. So, yes, they do. back in these days, you actually in 1871, actually before the formation of of Major League Baseball in 1901, they actually threw underhanded, right? Because you got to remember, baseball came from pitching, or baseball came from rounders and cricket, right? And what do they do in cricket? They bounce the ball, and in rounders they underhand it, right? So back in 1871 up until 1900, that's what they did. They threw underhand, and there were no gloves. There were no gloves in baseball. So you have these pitchers who would pitch 200, 300 pitches because they can throw underhand. Nowadays, obviously they throw overhand, and a lot of it is about having speed. So like fastballs are like 100 to 104 miles an hour now, and that really puts a lot of stress on the elbow. It's not so much the shoulder. It can be, but it's a lot of stress on the elbow. So what you'll hear is you'll hear something called Tommy John's, which is a surgery that they do to move the tendons after they rupture in a pitcher. And it takes a long time to recover from. It's like a 9 to 12 month recovery period. But a pitcher that blows his elbow out, they'll go in and they'll reattach the ligaments in a different way, and then he'll be good to just throw constantly afterwards. So Tommy John surgery is like very common now in baseball, and it's kind of a shame. It shouldn't be that way, really, when you think about it, because they should do more to like strengthen the elbow instead of just. But I don't know why, but the emphasis on these scouts, on the major league scouts, when they're looking for talent, this is grounded over to. Oh, it's a flub by the shortstop, and it's an E6. Levies the board. It is Jimmy Hollinan with his third error of the game, and the tying run is on first base here. That brings up Stiers. He is currently 2 for 3 today with a single and a 2-run home run. So back to the elbow real quick. A lot of the MLB scouts now are just looking for speed. They want to see you throw 98, 99, 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And so these kids, when they're playing baseball at like 10, 11, 12, they're trying to just kill the ball. And it's ripping up their tendons at a young age. And that's a big problem baseball has not solved. And that needs to. Is the pitcher the most valuable player or no? It kind of, yes. You have to have good pitching. You really do. But whatchamacallit? I think good defense will win you championships. You have really good infielders that know how to like knock balls down, make plays in the infield. These guys right here, they'll go far. Like if you look at like a championship winning team, I always look at the 08 Phillies because I'm a Phillies fan, and the defense that the 08 Phillies played was phenomenal. Like they had solid outfielders, really good infielders. They had great pitching as well. But you kind of do need a complete package. But the crazy thing about 2008 is you had a pitcher in Cliff Lee who was at then called Cleveland Indians, right? And he had 22 wins and he had 3 losses as a pitcher, and Cleveland was finished literally as the worst team in the MLB. So you can have, you need to have a few good pitchers, yeah. It's pretty important, I would say, yeah. I don't know about most important because defense and hitting will still get, will still take you places. But, yeah, I would say it's pretty important. Here's Stiers standing in. He takes a ball. 1-0. But you can have good pitchers if you don't have infielders that can really make plays. They're not going to go anywhere. 1-0, that is line foul on the right-hand side. So. Over to first. The runner's back in time. Back over to first, and the runner is back in time. Here's the pitch. Swung on, grounded over towards it. Oh, and he's made another error. Oh, no. Not good. It's an error on the second baseman. That's Bill Craver. That's his second error of the game. And just like that, the tying run is at second base, and the winning run, the leading run, is on first with one out here. That brings up Mart King. He is 0 for 4. Here's the first pitch. That is taken for a strike. 1-0. Or 0-1, I should say. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's called strike 2. It is 0-2. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swung on. That's lined into right field. Right at the right fielder. And that does not advance the runners. And now Chicago are down to their last out. Everett Mills, 0 for 4 today. Here's the first pitch. That's grounded over to the shortstop, and it's through. It's a base hit. It's going to be a single. Oh, it's a throwing error. Oh, no. It was a single for Everett Mills, and the outfielder has thrown the ball, right? The outfielder being the left fielder, Fred Tracy. Fred Tracy throws the ball in to try and stop the run from scoring. It's a wild throw, and it scores the Levy Merilay from second base. Over the third goes Stiers, second base for Mills. Is this a mod to get this year, or does this game allow it? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Does it allow? Like what? That brings up Charlie Hodes. The game is tied at 4 apiece, and that's a pitch off. Or no, he's walked him. It's an intentional walk. And that will load the bases. What do you mean? Like by the 1871? Is that what you mean? Or by playing in 1871? That is going to bring up Fred Waterman. I am in 1871. Yeah. Yeah, the game's literally the game. Yeah, that's the crazy thing. No, the game's data goes back that far. So they've done a very good job. I don't know how. I have no clue how they do. They have this information, but they have done a really good job of archiving the games that were played back then, the teams, the players, and so when Out of the Park Baseball went to make this game, right? They pay for the license from Major League Baseball, and they ask Major League Baseball for all the data, and Major League Baseball gives it to them. So they have all this data on the players who played on these teams back then, where the teams were based out of, what the stadiums they played in were, what the average attendances were, the capacity for the grounds, the height of the fences, the length of the fields. They have all of that data going all the way back to 1871. So that's the really neat thing about this game, is that you can play the 2025 season if you want to. Yeah, this is yearly release, yeah. So you can play the 2025 season if you want to and play current year. Or you can go back and play in like the Mark McGwire era, and back then. Or you can play... That should be a goal. You have to score that. You have to score that. But yeah, you can pick any season going all the way back to 1871, so, which is insane. And all the real players come in, all the real teams come in. It's awesome. Right. Fred Waterman, here's the pitch. Swung on and missed 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Chop foul. 0-2. 0-2. That is line foul. That's cool. Is this game popular? Let's see, right? I wish FM did something like this. I mean, it's harder for FM to do it from a realistic standpoint. You're right. I wish the same thing. It's harder for FM to do it because it's multiple countries and multiple leagues, right? Like Major League Baseball is just Major League Baseball. It's baseball through one country. Oh, that's in. Orlando lead 2-1. I'm sorry, Orlando lead 2-0, not 2-1. Let me see. Steam charts. Here you go. Out of the Park Baseball 26. You have to remember the game's been out 2 months. It has a average daily players of 860. So probably not. The game's probably not popular if that's the case. So that's on Steam. And if I look at Twitch, there are 302 viewers right now and 518 followers for the category. So let me get Sean's stream up because he's the only other English streamer streaming out of the park right now. So, cancel. There we go. So it's not hugely popular. We'll put it that way. Right. This is still Waterman. He's 0-2. Here's that was a ball. Sorry. I clicked I hit one twice instead of once. Here is the 1-2. That's grounded over it. That's a base hit. It's a base hit. Oh, I put that under Sam Jackman. Sorry. Or Jackson. I got to put that under Fred Waterman. Fred Waterman delivers. It's an RBI single. And just like that, that'll score Stiers, who reached on an error. Mills goes to third. Hodes goes to second. And Fred Waterman delivers an RBI single. Chicago lead the game. That brings up Cherokee Fisher, the pitcher. Here's the first pitch. That's the ball, 1-0. 1-0 pitch is a strike down the center of the plate, 1-1. I'm going to sleep. Good night, Benny. Good night, Cully. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the support as well today, man. It's super appreciative. I can't express enough gratitude to you for it, man. Have a wonderful evening. Here's the 1-1. He is down low for a ball, 2-1. 2-1 is chop foul. It'll be 2-2. 2-2 pitch popped up. And that'll be gloved for the final out of the inning. 2 runs on 2 hits, and they leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Chicago is leading 5-4 here over Troy. Due up first for Troy will be Jimmy Hollonen. The top of the order is due up here. First pitch to Holland. Oh. There's been a sub. Sorry. So it's a pinch hitter. Pony Sager is the pinch hitter. He's only had 1 at bat so far this season, and it was it did not lead to a hit. Here's the 0-1. That's a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on. That's driven deep into center field. Underneath it there is Bill Kelly, and he gloves it for the out. Here's Flynn. Clipper Flynn, he takes the strike on the inside, 0-1. Rally hats around the Haymakers ground. Here's the 0-1. That's taken in the dirt for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, 0-2. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's taken inside for a ball. It'll be 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Grounded over towards the shortstop. Over to first. It's a bad throw from the shortstop. And the tying run is aboard in E6. That is Charlie Hodes making his 4th error of the game. And the tying run is on base. Frank Norton is going to sub in for Ezra Sutton. He is 0 for 1 in his only plate appearance so far this season. He takes ball 1 on the inside. Here's the 1-0. That's lined deep in the left center field. That might get to the gap. And no, the center fielder's over there. That is Bill Kelly. He makes the play. And both pinch hitters have found both pinch hitters have found the center fielder, and that will bring up Fred Tracy, who was 1 for 4 with an RBI single so far today. And the Troy Haymakers are down to their final out. Here's the pitch. Taken for a strike. 0-1. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed, 0-2. Here's the 0-2. Grounded over towards the shortstop. And he's flubbed it. The shortstop flubs it again. 2 E6s in this inning. Charlie Hodes has made 5 errors for Cleveland today. The tying run is in scoring position. The winning run is on base. That'll bring up Jim Foran. He is 1 for 4 so far today with a triple. Here is the pitch. Swung on, that's chop foul. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's high for a ball. 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's inside for a ball. 2-1. The 2-1 pitch. Swung on. That's into center field. That's going to drop. It's a base hit. Jim Foran's got a single. And now the bases are loaded with 2 outs here. The winning run is in scoring position. Flynn is gone, or I'm sorry. Flynn's gone to third. Tracy's over at second. And the bases are loaded for Bill Craver. He is 0 for 4 today. And here comes the pitch. Swung on, that's foul. Here's the 0-1. Taken inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's taken outside for a ball, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swung on, right out. Oh, it's a base hit. It's a base hit. Bill Craver's come through. It's an RBI single, and Troy has tied the game. That brings up Patty Quinn. He is 1 He is 1 for 4 today. A single will win the game for Troy. Here's the first pitch. That's taken for a strike, 0-1. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's taken inside for a ball, 1-1. Here's the 1-1. That's called strike 2, 1-2. Here's the 1-2. That's in the dirt, 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Oh, it's a wild pitch. It's a wild pitch, and he's home. They score on a wild pitch. And Troy, it looked like they were going to blow the lead, but they've come back. They did blow the lead, but they have come back, and they have won it in the bottom of the 9th inning. Just a single hit at the end of the game in the final inning. 2 errors. I'm sorry, it's 2 hits in the bottom of the 9th inning. And they get the runs they need to win this game. Final score here on the Haymakers ground. It is Troy 6, Chicago 5. We're going to look at a box score here. Cherokee Fisher, man, he pitched well. 8.2 innings pitched. I have his pitch count at exactly 120, which is literally when you put a pitcher in these scorebooks, there's 120 circles for the pitch count. Charlie had he had no base on balls. He had 1 strikeout. He gave up 12 hits. I have him as. This says 5. We're going to go for 12. Runs was 6. How many of them earned? Literally none of the runs were earned. Not a single run was earned. Harry Wright, he's pitched all 9 innings. God bless him. His pitch count was 145. He walked 2. They were intentional, granted, but he walked them both. He didn't strike out anybody. He gave up 12. I have 12 hits. And then the runs were 5, obviously. And how many of those were earned? 2. So that's how he finishes. Right, now for the batting scores. This is for Chicago. George Betchel, 5 at-bats, no hits. Bill Kelly, 5 at-bats, 1 hit. Levy Mayerly, 5 at-bats. No, I'm sorry. 4 at-bats. 4 at-bats. 1 hit. 2 runs. 1 base on balls. Gat Stiers, 4 at-bats. 2 hits. 2 runs. 2 RBIs. 1 was a home run. And a base on balls. Matt King, 5 at-bats, 0 hits, 1 run. Everett Mills, 5 at-bats, 1 hit. Charlie Hodes, 4 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 RBI. Sam Jackson, 3 at-bats, no hits. Cherokee Fisher, 5 at-bats, 3 hits. One of them is a double. And then Fred Waterman, 2 at-bats, 2 hits, 1 RBI. That's what I got. So, for Chicago, 5, 10, 18, 23, 28, 32, 35, 40, 42 at-bats, 5 runs, 11 hits, how many second bases? 1 double, 1 home run, 1 base on balls, 9 errors, 5 of them by 1 guy, by the way. No strikeouts, 5 RBIs, no stolen bases. Wow. For Troy, Jimmy Hollanen, 4 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run. Clipper Flynn, 5 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run. I'm sorry, 2 runs. 2 runs for Clipper. Ezra Sutton, 4 at-bats, no hits. Fred Tracy, 5 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI. Jim Foran, 5 at-bats, 2 hits, 1 of which is a triple. Bill Craver, 5 at-bats, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 RBI. Patty Quinn, 4 at-bats, 1 hit. Bill Lennon, 4 at-bats, no hits, 1 strikeout. Harry Wright, 4 at-bats, 3 hits, 1 of which is a triple, 1 run, 1 stolen base, 1 RBI. Tony Sager, 1 at-bat, no hits. Frank Norton, 1 at-bat, no hits. How do you say C? What's up, chicken parm dinner? Right. No. 13, 18, 23, 28, 32, 36, 40, 42 at-bats for Troy. Hits or runs, 6 runs. Hits, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10. 10 hits. I have 10. They have 12. I have 10. 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I have 10. Second base is none. Triples, 2. No home runs, no base on balls. Errors were 6 for Troy. Strikeouts was 1. Stolen bases was 1. RBIs 3. And there you have it. That's what I've got. So, second game in the book. I've been lurking. Nice. Thank you very much. Last couple of streams. The one game was like 12-2 in the fourth. Yeah, I got smoked. You got to understand, this is 1861 or 1871. So, the other game, the Cleveland Forest Cities have managed to hand the Fort Wayne Kekiungas their first loss of the season, 6-3. So, there you have it. Cleveland goes 1-1, and we move on to the next day. And our next game, which will be Cleveland Forest Cities against the Troy Haymakers. So, but yeah, it is, if I go to MLB, well, it's right here. Tuesday, April 25th, 1871. What has that done to the standings after the games? The Athletics are still top of the American League at 2-0. Cleveland, 1871. Cleveland Forest Cities are 1-1. The Boston Red Stockings are 1-2. The Washington Olympics have yet to play. In the National League, the Fort Wayne Kekiungas are still top 3-1. They are a game and a half ahead of the Troy Haymakers, who are 1-2, and the New York Mutuals have yet to play as well. The Rockford Forest Cities 0-1, along with the Chicago White Stockings. Yeah, you can start this game in any historical season of professional baseball in the United States, Chicken Farm. So we are in 1871. But that's it for the YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching. We are back with the next game on the 25th of April. Cleveland Forest Cities and the Troy Haymakers, 1-1 versus 1-2. And we will see you then. Until then, take care.